Hey, what's up guys? I'm Tommy and welcome to Tommy Tech Outdoors. Today I'm going to be installing the new Bixpy J-2 motor on my Hobie Pro Angler 360. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so today I'm going to be installing the new Bixpy J-2 motor on my Hobie Pro Angler 360. Bixpy actually now has their power pole mount that you can put on any kayak that has the power pole mount pre-drilled holes. You could also install it on one that doesn't, but that's a whole nother process. But the PA actually has the power pole mount holes not drilled in it, so you actually have to buy the Hobie power pole mount plate. I'll actually provide a link to this in the description below. I have actually a previous video where I installed the J1 on this as well, so you can check that out. The process is very similar, it's just a little bit different mounting it. All right guys, so one of the first things that you're gonna need to do is install the Bixpy power pole mount onto the Hobie power pole mount. It's right here. It's actually gonna mount right into the 4 power pole mount holes here. I'm actually going to bring you guys in closer so you can get a better look at the install. All right guys, so I've got the Hobie power pole mount here, and here is the Bixpy Jet power pole mount. It's actually going to mount right into the 4 power pole mount holes. You can see it lines up nicely. The Bixpy Jet actually comes with all the hardware you need. It has the bolts, washer, and nuts that you're going to need. So what I need to do is put the bolts through, flip it over, and then put the washers in. So let me go ahead and just do a couple for now. So there's the 2 bolts. Just going to hand tighten these for now. All right, so now I've got all the bolts on. I'm just gonna tighten these a little bit. Make sure you don't over tighten it. Just needs to be kind of tight enough. All right, so I got all the bolts tightened down, and that's pretty much it. So you can see all 4 of them are installed nicely. So now we just have to go back outside and install now the Hobie mounting plate back onto my PA, and then we should be good to go. All right guys, so I'm back outside on the Kayak. There's actually a plate that's normally here on the back of your PA that you have to take off. Actually, I'll show that from another video so you can see what that looks like. But so here's a closer look of where the rudder plate would be. You would actually take it off and you'll see the 4 holes here. You're really gonna only use the back 2 that are here. On the Hobie plate, you can see it's got the 4 different holes on the back. I'm actually gonna use the ones that are further in, because I have the 12, but if you had a 14, you'd use the ones that are actually further out. So all the screws come with the Hobie plates. It's just these little screws right here. It just screws right in. So all you gotta do is just screw the one in. That should fit just right. Let me make sure it's lined up. Should do it right there. So just screw the one in and the other. Yeah, so just tighten it just enough. Then we can work on the front part. So the front comes with the different mounting pieces. I'll show you guys how to put that on. But everything, again, comes with the kit. I'm actually going to take you in the back so you can get a better look of how it's installed. All right, so now we're in the back. The mounting pieces you're going to need is this kind of cylinder flat piece. And then you have the other piece right here. It's kind of the curved. This is actually going to go right on top like so. And then this is actually going to slip underneath the mount. There are actually 4 holes you'll see on the back. Let me show you that real quick. So you can see the 4 holes here on the back. So the two holes on one of the mounts is actually going to line up. You can see the two here are going to line up with the two here on the mount itself. So I'm just going to put it kind of where it should be. And then you also have the bottom piece. So this is essentially going to go underneath the rail. And then you're going to use your mounting hardware to mount everything. All right, so I've got my screw here, and then I'm going to have a washer. Washer's actually going to go on top of the mount there, and the screw is going to go through. And then I've got a bolt right here. This is actually a locking bolt. You can see the nylon in there. But so I'm going to feed this through. Might have to play with it a little bit to get through the mount and the hardware. So let's see here. This should go in. Play this a little bit. There we go. It's lined up. And you want to make sure too you don't tighten everything down just yet, because you want to make sure everything fits. So I might have to use my screwdriver here to just get it, or start it to get through there. It should come right through and it'll come up on the top. Yeah, so the screw's coming up. You can see right there. So then I'm gonna start the other screw on the other side. Probably have to do the same thing. Make sure it lines up. All right, so now you can see the screws are coming out from the top. So I'm just gonna put a washer on. So I've got both washers on. So now I'm just gonna take a bolt and screw that on. Just gonna hand tighten for now. Take the other bolt, put that one on. So now that I've got both of those on, I'm gonna just take some locking pliers that I have here. You could use an adjustable wrench too. I just like using these pliers. Had them for a long time. So just hold that there, and then I'm just gonna screw the bottom in. It's just a Phillips head. Just gonna screw in the front a little bit and then go to the back. Screw in some of the back. All right, so we're good to go. Again, you don't want it to be too tight, just kind of tight enough. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take care of the other side. All right, so my mistake, guys. You should probably not tighten this down just yet. So let me untighten these. Yeah, so you don't want to tighten everything down just yet. You're gonna wanna put all of these in beforehand. So that should fit right in. So now I've got the mount in, the top part of the mount, and now I'm gonna put the bolts in. So you probably don't wanna screw all this in just yet, even this side. But that was my mistake, so put all your mounting hardware on first, and then put your bolts in. All right, so I got all the screws through now. Again, remember to put all your mounting pieces on first and then the screws. So I'm gonna put the washers through here. Oh, I'll do the washer and put one of the bolts on, then another bolt. All right, so now I'm gonna tighten everything down. Again, make sure you just tighten it enough and don't over tighten it. So I'm just gonna tighten each screw down a little bit and then go to the next one, like the one in the back here. So I've got everything bolted down, and you can see the mounts on there. Really good, it's going nowhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the motor on so you can see what that looks like. All right, so before we mount the pole to my kayak, I'm actually going to install the Bixpy jet onto the mounting pole. As you can see here, it's a bit different from the J1. So on the J2, you just have this mount here because the mount on the J2 is very different. Now this piece is actually attached to the Bixpy jet. So I've already taken out some of the screws, but you can see these screws here. There's actually 4. I took 2 out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are going to mount right into the 4 holes here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the rest of these screws out, and then we'll mount the motor onto the pole mount. Oops, dropped that one. So when you do mount this, you're gonna want to make sure that the motor is facing the opposite, or the back of the motor is facing the opposite direction of, you can see this tie down right here. This is actually where you would put your paracord so you can pull the motor up and down. I'll show you that when we put it on the kayak. So going to, you can see the eyes that way. So I'm gonna have the back of the motor going that way. You can see it can slide right in like so. So actually to get it in, I have to kind of pull the plastic out a little bit there, and then it will slide in. I'll probably have to do the same for the front, so I'm just gonna pull it out a little bit. There we go. You can see it fits nicely, and we'll just line up the holes. There we go. There we go. Now it fits. You can see it fits perfectly. All the holes are lined up. And then all we got to do is just take there's a screw here, and then there's a nut on the one end. So it's kind of hard to do this. I'm going to have to hold this kind of on my chest a little bit. There we go. So we got the screw in, and then this little nut just screws right in. Like so. All right, so now I've got all 4 of the screws on. So now we're gonna take it outside, and then we'll mount this onto my kayak. All right guys, so now we're back outside. We're gonna mount the pole mount right onto the PA mount here. It's pretty easy to do. There's actually a cradle in here. I'll actually give you guys a closer look in a second, but all you do is just put it right in the cradle, and then it has these 2 thumb screws, which is really nice. Makes it a lot easier to remove and add. So you just take the thumb screws, screw it right in. Cool. Yeah, so now I've got the thumb screws tightened down. You can see it. Bixpy moves nice and freely. Let me give you a closer look at the mount real quick. All right, so here's a closer look. Here's the little cradle I was talking about. It's kind of recessed here. And you can see the motor, where the mount fits right into the cradle. So it makes it a lot easier for you to just sit it there. And then it's easier for you to put the thumb screws in. So just put it right in the mount, and then you can start putting the thumb screws in. So if you also want to adjust the depth of the shaft, you can adjust that if you want to have the Bixpy jet a little bit lower, depending on the kayak that you have. To do that, all you have to do is, you can see these 2 clamps here, as you're just going to loosen them, and then you can adjust how far down into the water you want your Bixpy jet to be. I think I'm going to actually have to lower this a little bit. I'm going to compare it to my J1 and then adjust it accordingly, because what would end up happening is if you have it too high, you're going to get cavitation. And then also, like, if you lean forward to ever, like, I have to go to my front hatch, it'll actually cavitate, and well, essentially what happens is the front of the kayak tips up, which is fine actually, because I'm seated most of the time. But if you have any cavitation problems like that, you're probably going to want to lower this. So that's how you're going to adjust it. Right, so another new feature that Bixpy added to their new power pole mount is this clamp. It comes in the kit. It has 2 pieces. So what this clamp allows you to do is you install it on the shaft here, and you have the ability to either keep your motor fixed, like in one position, just kind of the forward position, and then you can take out a little cotter pin and allow it to spin. So we're going to install that now. So as you can see here, the clamp has these 2 pieces here, and then it comes with these screws as well. They're just these little thumb screws with the Allen wrench, and you just use the Allen wrench that comes in the kit. So I'm going to take you guys in closer so you can get a better look at the install. All right, so right now I have the shaft not inside of this little clamp here. So this clamp actually is what prevents your motor from coming up when you go in reverse. I just need it to be like that just so I can get the back piece of the clamp on first. The back piece is actually the one that has the Bixpy Jet logo on it, so that's going to go on the back. And then the piece that has the hole in it is actually going to go on the front. So what I'm going to do is just put this on real quick, just put the screws in. I'm just going to keep them loose so I can adjust as needed. So one other important thing to note before I do this is that the clamp is actually going to install on this gray piece, not the actual shaft itself. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on and get the screws started, and then I'm going to push the shaft of the motor or the mount down so then I can line up everything. All right, so I've tightened everything by hand. It's still, you can see, pretty loose. So now what I'm going to do is push the motor down. So then now I'm going to line up my motor so that it's straight. So when it's in a fixed position, it will only go straight. All right, so I've got the motor lined up the way I want. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Allen wrench that's included with the Bixpy Jet and tighten it down. And the important thing also when you tighten it down is make sure that so right here is the hole. It needs to line up with this little groove right here, because you'll see actually I've got the cotter pin right here. It's actually going to slip into this hole and it'll fit right into this groove. So let's go ahead and continue to tighten everything down. So now I've got the, as you can see, this cotter pin right here. All you have to do is slip it in, so, and then now the motor will not turn at all. And then if you did want it to turn, all you have to do is take the pin out. Now, see the motor turns freely. So I think for myself right now, I'm going to use it in the fixed position because I'm going to use my 360 fins to steer the boat, and then also the rudder as well. See how well that turns. There's also a pole steering setup that I have as well that I'll show you guys in a future video, so make sure you stay tuned for that video. So the Bixpy also comes with these cable management clips right here. What it does is it allows you to, tidy up your cables a little bit, have it so that it's connected to the shaft. It looks a little bit neater. But for me, I'm actually not going to install these just yet because I'm going to be testing this on a couple of different mounts that I have. But what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to cut to Bixpy's video. Howman actually shows you how to install these, just so you guys have a reference of how to install these clamps. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now.
Now the only thing that remains is to get this cord nicely tucked away and running to your motor, and I'm going to teach you how to do that as soon as I grab those clips from the front of the kayak. So in your kit, you are going to have 3 zip ties and 3 of these little pipe clips that we're going to use to tie this cord to this pipe. And I'm going to show you how that's done. Very simple. You first put the clip onto your cable, then you can run a zip tie right through it. Then you can clip it anywhere along the pipe. And again, you can have this cord running on the left side or the right side. It really doesn't make any difference. It's really, what else you may have on your kayak that you don't want to get in the way. And, 2 clips in this case is going to do it because the motor is not very low. So again, on the wire, zip tie runs through. So in this case, I've got 2 clips on here. I'm happy with that. I'm not going to clip this much more. So I'm just going to cut off the excess here. And I am good to go.
So the last part I'm going to show you with the Bixpy is the cord used to raise and lower your motor. You can see it just has a little eyelet right here and it comes with this paracord. So you just need a couple knots. I just use overhand knots. That's pretty clear. And I'll have this front of my kayak, and you just pull it, and then I'll have it tied off. Actually, I have a ram ball that's on the front, and I just put a loop and I just hook it onto that. I have some other places I can hook it onto, but once I actually take it out and use it, I'll show you guys my full setup of how, everything's installed, my entire fishing setup. So make sure you stay tuned for that video. So everything I use in this video will be in the video description below. Anything from the J-2 motor itself, different mounts I use, and even the different camera equipment I use. I get a lot of questions about what I'm using to film. I also have my new Amazon influencer store, so you can check that out. It has all my gear and different tackle that I use as well. So make sure you guys check that out. And if you guys have any comments or questions about the install, the J-2, the different mounts, let me know in the comment section below. I try to answer as many comments as I can. And if you guys want to see anything specifically, like if I want to see this on different kayaks, different mounts, let me know. I have a lot of videos that are going to be coming up. I'll be doing some demos with Dean of OC Kayak. He's going to let me pretty much demo whatever I want with the Bixpy jet, and then even just regular kayak demo video. So if you guys want to see anything, just let me know in the comment section below. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe for future videos. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.